We'll switch to another question, and Mr. Keene, you're ready to start us off. Hopewell Valley is blessed with a very active and educated citizenry. How should we use experts in the valley to reduce cost and improve the effectiveness of our school district? Be specific. Thanks.
Well, first of all, in a concrete example, is I think that the local community can be used in enrichment programs. I'm a foreign language educator, and I'd love to see local international people here get involved and offer language classes at our schools, for example, because I think we have a challenge there. I think one thing we have to look at when we're going to the community is an opportunity right here when we have a budget crisis on our hands. But we have to know ourselves what we want from the community before we're going to be able to get an organized approach to getting their involvement into our schools. So what I think we need to do is think about where are the areas where we need help, then reach out to the community and find those people. We were not going to get people doing things in an efficient manner if we're not clear about what we're looking for ourselves.
Thank you. Mr. Myers.
Yes. Our curriculum review program basically spans a six-year process. This year we're looking at special education and gifted and talented, as well as the strategic plan, which Steve mentioned. Next year will be K-12 math and technology. Year after that will be science. Year after that will be world languages and English for a second language and bilingual. Year after that will be social studies and language arts. And the sixth year will be health and physical education and fine and applied arts. As we did this year, we went out to the community and asked for volunteers to serve on these study committees, and we did receive quite a few on our strategic review plan, our gifted and talented program, and also our special education program. So we have started down that road of involving interested members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. How would you as an individual work to achieve consensus with your fellow board members?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that we have to look at here is leadership. It's one thing to get consensus, but it's even more important, I think, is for a board to take a stand. And when the board takes a stand, that doesn't mean that everybody has to fall into line and there's no discussion. There should be a very lively debate. But once the debate is over and a vote is made on the board, then I would expect that the board would support the decisions that have been made by majority, even if the people who are dissenting may not entirely agree with this. I think we need to, when we're looking out to the community, to have a unified front and to support the decisions of that board. Consensus is important, but it's not the only thing. We need that ability also to compromise, and that's different than consensus.
Mr. Myers.
Thank you. Well, pretty much the same as what Jim Wolf said. The heart of the way we operate is through standing committees. We have 4 right now. The Educational Program Committee used to be called Curriculum a few years ago. Our Personnel Committee, our Communications Committee, and our Finance and Facilities Committee. These committees meet once a month. The Educational Program Committee meets twice a month because they have a lot more to deal with. But the minutes of those meetings are distributed to all the board members, and actually the agenda of those board meetings are distributed even before the meeting. So if another board member has a particular interest in something that committee is doing, we can usually arrange for him to attend. I attend all those meetings ex officio, but if a board member wants to attend a particular meeting, I'm glad to step out and let that board member attend that meeting. So the minutes are distributed to everyone, so they have a chance to review it. Then at our agenda meeting each month, the chair of the particular committee reports on the activities of the committees. And we do have discussion there before the next regular board meeting where we take official actions.
Okay. During these difficult economic times, when it is not likely that new programs will be able to be brought into the schools, how can we improve curriculum?
Well, first of all, my understanding of a curricula is a roadmap that's made up of syllabi and other documents which put together are a course of study. And I think these are roadmaps, but a map is not the territory. The territory is determined by the teacher in the classroom. So while it's important to look and review these curricula to see if they're correct, we need to place equal attention on the teacher in the classroom. Are they performing according to the way they do? What are the competencies that we expect of those teachers? And how can we further those competencies? That doesn't have to always cost a lot of money in order to do it. It's a way of directing your professional development internally, turning your teachers into autonomous teachers who take responsibility for their own teaching, for writing lesson plans, for improving on a state-mandated curriculum and making it something that is a Hopewell curriculum as opposed to a New Jersey curriculum. So I think we have two things that we have to look at here, the documents and the actual living, breathing classroom.
Mr. Myers.
Thank you. I mentioned before our curriculum review program as a 6-year program looking at different subjects each year. However, there's another aspect to that, and let's just take this year. We're looking at special education and gifted and talented. Well, we're not going to forget about that for the next 5 years. For the next 5 years, actually, there's a process that we're going to follow regarding this year's topic, which is special education and gifted and talent. This year we're studying the program. Next year we're going to develop our plans. The third year we're going to implement the new plans. The fourth year we're going to evaluate how it's working and revise it if necessary. And then the fifth year we're going to fully implement the plan. So we also have a procedure that we want to follow to make sure that we get the best curriculum. I was also mentioned there's other factors that would come into play because the state is pretty much mandating curriculum. And it's all part of a program to have a common curriculum across the country, really. And actually the state is basically writing programs which I guess they want all schools to follow. Thank you.
What do you think the appropriate role of extracurricular activities is in public education today?
Well, I think it's a fundamental part of education today, and all the more so now that we're going to be faced with cuts. If we're talking about extracurricular activities, if we're talking about enrichment programs, I think that this is hugely important and can fill a gap at the schools. Having run a private language school for over 15 years, I worked with a lot of different schools, and we were able to develop an excellent relationship between the internal school and the external possibilities that we made available to these students. If we're talking about things like sports and things like that, of course, this is something that also is a fundamental part of what we do, and we obviously cannot take that away from our schools. However, if we have questions, for example, on whether we need new fields or things like that, well, then I think in a situation like this that we'd probably have to take a look at that and consider whether that's the right kind of thing. But enrichment and extracurricular activities, yes, a fundamental part of what we do.
Mr. Myers.
Yes, thank you. I think it's unfortunate that we call them extracurricular activities. I think it would be nicer if we call them co-curricular activities. Extra sounds like it's something you may not need. I think it's the essential part. We can see that our students who participate in sports and other activities have demonstrated that there are better students there and eventually better citizens. So I think it's very important that we look at our co-curricular activities as an adjunct to our academic program and not as an extra thing in the school.